That's how we start every podcast. Want to get that next one out of your system real quick? On the podcast, nobody knows that came from your face. Do you movies? So do I. This is what I watch. Hello, everyone. I'm Casey Williams. This is the What I'm Watching podcast, where all I'm going to talk about is whatever I happen to be watching. You don't get to pick what I talk about. I don't care what you want me to talk about. I'm just going to talk about whatever I'm watching, because I won't be held down. I have with me my good buddy Steven, leader of the digital media group. Say hello, Steven.
Hello, Steven.
And he is an authority on no subject whatsoever. So that's why he's here, is to make me feel better, make me feel more important. So pretty much how this is going to work is just, like you can guess, every episode I'm just going to pick 3 things that I just happen to be watching, and I'm going to kind of give my opinion on them. What I'm watching usually tends to revolve around genre films like horror and sci-fi. This week, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. The first thing I'm going to pick is Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Don't give me that face. I'm very sad that it's canceled.
That is sad.
How much do you watch Adult Swim? Like, how long have you been an Adult Swim watcher?
Oh, God.
A viewer.
10 years?
10 years. I started watching...
not longer.
I remember the first time I saw The Mask. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it on VHS. And at the end of it, they had the sneak preview for Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That was my first time watching anything related to that. I watched Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and then when it turned into Adult Swim, everything that came out then, I can't believe they're canceling Aqua Teen Hunger Force, because for me, it's one of the last really good things they have going. And it definitely, I read an article, kind of saying that it marked the end of an era, and it does. Because what they have coming out now it's not quite the same.
No. And that's a show that's been there since pretty much the beginning. It was one of their first.
Yeah, and the thing that confuses me is that, from my understanding, it's not being canceled for a lack of quality or because it's not making money. Like, apparently it's obviously still high quality, and apparently it still makes money, but I guess Mike Laszlo, I can never remember which one he is. Apparently it was just a decision he made, more just not wanting to continue the same patterns.
Maybe it's something to do with Adult Swim. The Adult Swim's been taking a very weird transition. They've been going away from shows like Aqua Teen Hunger Force and C-Lab and, focusing more on their live action shows.
Do they even still do anime anymore at all?
Oh, I think they did, and then they stopped, and now they do.
It's kind of a love-hate relationship.
It's like
jilted ex-lover.
It's like most of the people that are used to, stay up on Saturday nights to watch anime.
Anime is Adult Swim's abusive sugar daddy.
Yeah, exactly. Now they just, Crunchyroll, right?
Yeah. And and what's weird to me is, like, I could understand canceling Aqua Teen if it were either of those, if it were the money the thing or that, or maybe even if, like you said, it was just a shift in direction, like different content. Like, I know for a long time it seemed they were more focused on the random things in between, like Steve Brule, than a lot of the actual shows or cartoons. But if it's just if that's the case, if it's because he wants to change the direction of the channel, what about Robot Chicken? Because to me, if you're looking at the quality of the content, it seems like Robot Chicken has been on a much more downward trajectory, like recycling material and kind of reusing the same jokes. Like, each episode has, like, this is the standard Lion-O sketch, this is the standard Skeletor sketch.
Yeah, but we see that is what sells, because it's the same pattern that Family Guy uses.
It's that sort of pop culture junkie type thing.
American Dad. You see those trends in those shows, and
just kind of throwing pop culture at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Exactly.
It's a shame, because and this is coming from a Robot Chicken fan. I love the first season, but I think immediately with the second season something fell down, and that I like the first season because the first season, when you look at the toys they used, they're actual toys. Like, this character is a completely different size from this character because the action figures just aren't the same. And the whole season had a feel of like what you would do as an adult, taking toys out of your toy box and doing horrible things with them, making horribly immature jokes and stories. But then afterwards, all the models for all the characters, they all had the same size body, all had the same like head, and everything was much more by the numbers. And it kind of lost that out of the toy box feel. So then you're relying a lot more on your writing and the strength of your comedy and the originality of your content. And it seemed like the originality just kind of disappeared over time, and they're just recycling it. So even if you have those pop culture references, if you're just doing the same jokes with them but changing the name, like at least Family Guy and Seth MacFarlane and all that, like the jokes change. But I don't feel like Robot Chicken's doing that. Whereas Aqua Teen, I mean, clearly that's still doing a good job. It's still funny. It's still crazy and out there. It just seems like a stronger show to me than Robot Chicken. But for some reason, Aqua Teen is the one that they canceled to change a direction, or it doesn't really make sense. I guess we should double check that Robot Chicken is actually still going. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it was just on Sunday night.
Yeah, see,
Sunday night, yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still petitioning to bring back Moral Oral, so...
I haven't gotten to see that much of that one. Like, we were talking earlier about...
It's a dark show.
Yeah, I actually fell out of... I've heard that one, it's tough to stick around for the first season, but then the second one gives you, like, one of the best moments ever in history. Apparently, that's what everybody tells me.
Well, if you like Mr. Pickles...
Yeah,
you'll like...
That's what I was going to say, is for a long time I actually fell out of Adult Swim because it became hard to attach on to something. I used to love, back in the day, obviously you had Aqua Teen, you had The Brack Show, you had C-Lab, and all these great cartoons, and some other good ones came out, Frisky Dingo, Super Jail. But for the most part, I just wasn't into a lot of what was coming out. And then Mr. Pickles actually brought it back for me. I thought that was an amazing cartoon. It's hilarious.
Are you trying to say you didn't like Delocated?
I'm trying to say I didn't like Loiter Squad. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Let's knock off Jackass. And is it a knockoff? I guess it is. They use the same producer who makes Jackass and just said, okay, it's Jackass, but with the worst rap group of all time. Like making a song that's just 3 minutes of saying cheese over and over again is not my idea of comedy, I guess. But like shows like Loiter Squad seemed like what they were moving to, and I just wasn't into it. And Mr. Pickles kind of reinvigorated my faith with Adult Swim, especially with how kind of unceremoniously Metalocalypse ended.
Yeah, Metalocalypse was also a very, very good show.
Yes, Metalocalypse is a good show.
Yes.
So is Metalocalypse.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
However you say it.
Yeah, because you spent so long waiting for that metal opera, Requiem something. Like it was you spent forever waiting for the opera that was supposed to kind of finish the show. And then it comes out, and some people love it, some people hate it, but it doesn't finish the show. It just happens, and then now they're telling us, oh, we're not going to get another season, but we're going to try to finish it with like a comic book or something or another. It just felt like a really unceremonious end for a show that brought a lot of viewers to Adult Swim.
Yes. Well, it took me, actually, when that show came out, I was pretty avid into Adult Swim, and it actually took me a while to get into Metalocalypse.
Yes, Metalocalypse is, for those of you who don't know, it's the exact same thing as Metalocalypse, but it's
saying it wrong.
It's in the Galapagos Islands.
I don't care.
Yeah. It's Hawaiian style Metalocalypse. But yeah, it after that happened, I kind of lost out on Adult Swim, and then Loiter Squad came out, and it seems like they were trying to do more stuff like that. And Mr. Pickles came out, and they won me back. But then now they're canceling Aqua Teen, and I don't know how to feel about them. I'm not sure if I should pay attention to them anymore.
You should watch Rick and Morty and stop. Stop crying
I can't.
about the voice acting.
I'm ready and willing to admit that show probably has some of the best writing on television right now. But I can't watch it because that man is not a voice actor.
Oh, but it's a good show.
It takes me out of the show, though. I can't pay attention to it.
It's one of the best.
It's just a guy doing this behind a microphone. It just reminds me that there's some jackass behind a microphone who, it takes me out of the show. I can't watch it.
It's funny. It's got a good storyline.
And that's great if I can pay attention to it.
It makes you feel better about your own.
That's great. That's great if I could pay attention to it, but I can't pay attention to it because I got that guy's crappy voice yelling at me the whole time. I just can't deal with it. Go ahead and sip your Diet Coke there. I know you've been waiting. Go ahead. There we go. Okay. He's been staring at it for ever since we started. But yeah, I don't know how to feel. I don't know.
You just need to watch it. You need to watch it. You need to watch it until the crappy voice acting just like seeps into your brain, and then you can't tell the difference between good and bad voice acting.
Maybe. I mean, it took me like 8 years to come around for Family Guy. I'm finally watching that. It's okay. Maybe 8 years from now I'll get into Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
I just can't do it right now.
Did you like Futurama?
I love Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama was good.
Absolutely love Futurama.
Real good.
I want more of it. I'm mad.
Yeah. That was a really bad final episode too.
Yeah, I'm tired of it getting juggled around. I want it to just find a home, live under the cupboard like Harry Potter, and just put out new episodes.
Yeah.
But Adult Swim, I don't know if the room doesn't explode and I continue living, I'm not sure if in that life I will continue to watch Adult Swim, because I don't know. It doesn't seem like either A, they're not going to put anything good out. They're going to put out stuff like Loiter Squad, or you're going to get attached to something.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you're going to get attached to something, and it's not going to be treated as important. Like I don't understand how Metalocalypse can't get a final season.
Metalocalypse.
I don't understand how Metalopagos can't get a final season to wrap up and at least respect all the viewers that came to Adult Swim because they love that show. They go out and see concerts of the band because they love that show.
Well, look at C-Lab. C-Lab was very popular, and now it only exists in like Archer references. It's vague. And,
Frisky Dingo, same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That was another one. I really liked Frisky Dingo, and it just seemed to end out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I get that Adult Swim is about a lot of experiments, but if I like those experiments, I don't want to see them taken away from me just because some person randomly feels that way. Like the sad thing about the Aqua Teen thing is it feels like there's something personal in there. Like it's not about the content, it's about the people behind the scenes or something, and we're not being given the real story as to why it's being canceled.
Yeah. Well, I think people are going to be just grateful that we have another season of the Venture Brothers, because that was, I know, for a long time open to debate.
Yeah, that's a show I don't actually watch. I'm not that into it, but I know a lot of people love it, so I'm happy for everybody else.
Casey doesn't watch the exceptionally good shows. If it's exceptionally good, he doesn't watch it.
Yeah, because
all right.
Well, it makes me question my own ability, and I say to myself, why didn't I make that? And so I remain blissfully ignorant, and I shut it out of my brain. So I only watch anything that's between a 3 and like a 5.5 on the quality scale. Anything above that is just an idea stolen from me, and I can't watch it.
Well, you like your shows like I like my women.
Oh, wow. Oh, poor Steven. Poor Steven. So that's one of the things I've been watching. We've been marathoning, much to my wife's discontent. We've been marathoning Aqua Teen over and over again as a memorial. Another thing I have been watching lately, comic book movies, because we're getting ready for the new...
You and who else? Who hasn't?
Well, nobody else. I'm the cool person. I've been doing.
Yeah. I've been reading watching comic book movies. Nobody else has.
I've been reading comics since like forever, and you've never read a comic, so I think we could just do.
No, but I've seen every movie that Marvel's put out in the last 3 years.
Well, obviously, everybody on the planet Earth has been watching Marvel movies, but me personally, I'm more interested in where DC's going. But I'm only interested in Batman Superman right now. That movie looks awesome to me. I'm one of the few people apparently who really liked what they did with Man of Steel. It had its problems. I do have some problems with it, but I like what they did. I'm burnt out on Marvel. I don't really care. It feels like every movie is just trying to throw characters at you to prepare for the next movie, and like they don't really care about the movie that you're watching, which seems backwards to me. And even with DC, I'm not too excited for Suicide Squad. It seems all it really has going for it is Will Smith and Hot Topic Harley Quinn, who I'm not a fan of. I like original Harley Quinn, not Hot Topic Harley Quinn. But I'm really excited about Superman Batman.
Yes.
I was excited about Aquaman, but then I found out James Wan was directing it, and I wasn't happy. I don't. As a horror fan, you either love or you hate him, and I hate him. I feel like he has destroyed my genre. He's turned everything into really cheap haunted house movies like Insidious and Conjuring and all that stuff, and I don't like where it's gone. And then the only other thing he's managed to do lately is Furious 7 and that whole unfortunate series of events. Yes, my hand placement is unique. I place my hands in interesting ways while I talk.
Well, I am actually
I make hand
very
spiders.
excited about Suicide Squad because I'm really enthralled by DC's television universe. Arrow, Flash, not so much Supergirl and Gotham, but Arrow, Flash, The Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that makes sense because I don't really watch the TV shows. I don't want to get too overloaded.
In Arrow in the first, second, third season, I'm sorry, just in the second and the third, they had their own Suicide Squad, or it was the Suicide Squad, and they had to kill off characters because they lost the rights because of the movie. So this movie is the reincarnation of some really good episodes of Arrow, some really good storylines.
Yeah, see, I watched one episode
So
of
it
Gotham.
better be good.
I watched one episode of Gotham, and after I was done vomiting, I just kind of
Yeah, I'm not a Gotham fan.
I just decided I wasn't gonna watch the TV shows and get burnt out for either Marvel or DC. That's what's amazing about Marvel is they managed to do it even without the TV shows.
You got to sit down and watch Arrow.
I won't be able to stop making fun of him. I won't be.
It's great, though.
Even
It's
even
wonderful.
myself.
I mean, what can you?
Even
what
myself
can you hate about
as
a Green Batman.
Myself as an Aquaman fan, the most made fun of supervillain, I can empathize with superhero. I can empathize with a superhero that's easy to make fun of, but not in the amount that you need to empathize with him.
Give Flash a chance, then. Flash
is cool. I just really don't want to invest the time into it. Because if I invest all that time into the shows, I know I won't care about the movies as much.
I don't know. There's a Flash movie coming out, same Flash, in about a year or so. I'm excited.
I'm excited for what the movies are gonna do, and like there are shows I even want to try, but I'm forcing myself not to right now. One of them's one you hate. I know you don't like Supergirl. I've been interested. I haven't watched it.
No, Supergirl's awful.
Really?
It's terrible show.
What don't you like about it?
They could have gone in a different direction. Are you familiar with the animated universe at all? DC
yeah.
universe? They could have gone with a more Justice League Supergirl, but this Supergirl is just like it's like the Brandon Routh Superman. Yeah.
Well, I'll probably give it a watch one day. I want a Crypto the Dog show. If they make a crypto show, I'll watch that.
There you go.
Like Flying Lassie.
There you go. And I think Batman had a dog at one point. Now let's get the Batman dog.
Yeah, it's the Great Dane from Batman Beyond. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's just his adventures.
Yeah, let's just do a Batman Beyond movie. They said they were going to do that, and I got excited.
Yeah, they did. I think
And
they
said,
even
nope, sorry.
they even put out concept art and everything too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, go Google that. Those are interesting.
Yeah. All the characters were way too old. They wanted Mila Kunis as the lead female character.
Oh, as like his
Got her.
yeah his like pink haired friend who discovered who he was. I can't remember her name either.
No, it was his girlfriend in Batman.
His
Beyond.
girlfriend?
Yeah, the black hair girl.
Ew, I don't. That seems like a waste of Mila Kunis.
Well, Mila Kunis is like what 40.
On a good day, yeah.
You know.
Her voice is still 18, but the rest of her is going. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of comic book movies lately, mostly just getting ready for that one. I'm excited to see where they take it. I'm an Aquaman fan, and apparently since James Wan is directing Aquaman, this is the only good bit of him I'm going to get for the time being. And I just, like I said, I've never really been a Superman fan. I've read the comics. There's three of them that I really like. There's Death of Superman, Superman All-Star, and Superman Red Sun. And the Red Sun is a what-if, so it kind of doesn't even really count. But my problem with him has always been kind of like Captain America, where you're just perfect. And not by any work of your own. It's not like you earned all of these powers that you have. Like Captain America, somebody stuck a needle in him. Superman, he's just happens to be on a planet where he has these powers. And they're not enough of a flawed character to be interesting. Superman, generally, the people around him are interesting. He's got a great stable of villains who are really interesting. Darkseid is one of the coolest villains ever. Pretty much all the villains and side characters are interesting, but Superman himself, pretty boring. And Man of Steel was one of the first times I could say I was interested in him as a character because he was flawed. My only real problem with that movie is so much of Superman is getting his morals. Like, he became Superman because of the morals he got from being raised on Earth and being raised by the Kents. and the movie felt like it took that away from them and gave it to Ghost Dad Russell Crowe.
Come on, it's Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I get that, but I just wasn't too into it. It didn't make sense to me. But I love Zod. I've been a huge Michael Shannon fan ever since I first saw him in Bug, and I've watched everything since then. He's really great. That was just the one thing about that movie I really didn't like. But I do defend it a lot from a lot of people. I know a lot of people, here's what I don't get. If you're trying to say that it's a bad movie because Superman doesn't kill people, that argument doesn't make sense because it's not a Superman movie. It's the Man of Steel. He's the Man of Steel now because he's pretty much indestructible, right? He doesn't become Superman until the end of the movie. This whole movie is his journey towards becoming Superman. So if you're trying to argue that it's a bad movie because he killed someone or because a lot of buildings got destroyed, and the phrase I've heard a lot is, he doesn't have his sanctity for life. And you're saying, where is that? Where is that? You just watched where it came from. So why are you trying to use that as an argument that it's a bad movie? And that's the one that I hear more than any other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you even seen Man of Steel?
I have not.
You have not. So you're excited, but you're still...
Superman Returns just blew the whole Superman
You need to give Man of
franchise.
Steel a shot.
I'm not that big of a Superman fan.
I'm not either. I'm
a Batman fan, and the greatest moments in Batman Superman history has been when Superman was getting his ass kicked by Batman.
I agree, and I've never been a Superman fan either. I mean, my two favorites are the one where he dies and the one where he gets cancer. That's how little of a Superman fan I am. But this movie made me like him.
Well, that's good. That's good. I hope that the movies that are coming out this year, the superhero movies, achieve that goal.
Yeah, I think especially with their decision to go with kind of an older Batman, more Dark Knight Returns style Batman, one that isn't perfect, and I guess we'll see how the Joker goes. I don't think they're planning on making him a super big part of this universe, at least not yet.
Well, not in Batman versus Superman, but in.
I think they're almost trying to downplay him a little bit,
Definitely.
Make him less important without like a Heath Ledger or Jack Nicholson around. Because I know everybody's on the Jared Leto bandwagon, but
I think Jared Leto will make a really good Joker. I like this new younger looking hipster-esque Joker.
I can't stand the punk rock thing. Like, here's the only way it makes sense to me. Is I was thinking about it, and the only way the new Joker makes sense to me with all the tattoos and the grill and everything is if you're doing an older Batman, like Dark Knight Returns. Now, in that comic book, Joker is a celebrity, and he's almost toying with the fact that he's a celebrity by going on talk shows and talking about himself and everything. Mm-hmm. So the only way this Joker makes sense to me is if he's doing all that stuff because he's playing off the fact that he's become a pop culture icon.
That was also, you're thinking of a very old Joker, a Joker that's in his 60s and 70s in that version, and he had gotten plastic surgery, his whole life changed, but the point was that he was always the same Joker. And this new one is designed for a new audience, a newer age.
I think that's true, but you still have to. It can be a different take on the character, but it still has to have that same mentality.
Yeah, and you don't think it's going to have
I think
mentality.
I think the only way that this Joker works is you keep that chaotic mentality by making him. He's only doing these tattoos and things because it's funny. Because he's trying to act like the pop culture celebrity that everybody thinks he is.
I see.
That to me makes it interesting. It makes sense as the Joker. But without that, why would the Joker care what tattoo he has? Like, why would he care what somebody thinks of his tattoos? Why would he care enough to get a grill?
I don't know. Maybe they'll do sort of an origin story in Suicide Squad, we already know in Batman vs Superman that they're going to have flashbacks to where Jason Todd was killed by the Joker, and presumably the same Joker, since Ben Affleck is playing Batman in Suicide Squad as well.
Yeah, I think my understanding is that this Joker might actually be Jason Todd.
I heard that theory. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind it.
It'd almost be a way to kind of make it okay that it might not be the Joker that we're used to.
Yeah, exactly.
For anybody who doesn't know, Jason Todd is the second Robin who the entire world hated, and so the comics offered to let viewers vote to kill him. And voters pretty much unanimously said get rid of him. So they had the Joker whack him with a wrench and then set a warehouse on fire and kill him. And then later on, he sort of reappeared many years later as the Red Hood, which is what many people believe Joker was before he was the Joker. He was kind of a Red Hood character who was either the Joker or any random person at the time. But essentially, people think that maybe this new Joker is that second Robin who's had a mental breakdown and come back as the Joker. So it's not the real Joker, but it is now. It's kind of weird. You should go Google that as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. And that comic's really good, too. Death in the Family.
Yes.
That's easily one of the best Batman comics there is. Anybody will tell you that, because there's no arguing against that.
It was a pivotal moment for Batman. You know, it would toy with him for many, many comics later.
It was that was one of the first real times where there was a consequence to what he was doing. That he couldn't, you can't make that right. You can't find retribution with that. That's just something you got to deal with and decide if you're going to keep going.
Yes.
And now he's had 20 Robins. Pretty much actually now we're in the era with Batman Incorporated. Yeah. I know there's at least 5 Robins.
We have at least 5, yes.
Especially if you include the girl.
6 Robins.
The girl from Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. And we had another female Robin you could throw in there.
Yeah.
What was it? Tim Drake's girlfriend.
Yeah, and then let's see.
No, not Tim Drake. Tim Drake's girlfriend.
And Damian Wayne was never. He never became. Did he become
Yes,
Robin?
he did become
Robin. He was.
There's
one
actually
of them.
a new animated movie that came out a couple months ago. Batman versus Robin.
Because I know he's often on Batman and Nightwing. He's pretty much been everybody.
Yeah.
Next year they'll come out with him as Batgirl. He's Batwoman.
There you go. Yeah. That's the trend in society these days.
Caitlin Wayne, Batwoman.
Yep. Well, we just lost all of 4 of our followers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd like to see Damian Wayne come into the movies. If they're going to bring Jason Todd in, I think eventually bringing Damian would make sense. It's actually probably one of the only franchises in terms of Batman they could do it with, because it happened so later on. Damian Wayne makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the whole Ra's al Ghul thing again. And
it's Jason Todd, and I believe was Jason Todd the second or the third?
He was the second. Tim Drake was the third.
Okay.
But yeah, you don't have to go redo that whole Ra's al Ghul thing and Talia al Ghul, because that's all in the past. We're already up to speed on all that. You don't have to retread territory with the last trilogy.
And that would just destroy Arrow if they did that, because Arrow's third season was meeting Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, really?
And people really criticized the third season of Arrow. While it was good, they would pretty much said it was nothing but a retelling of a green Batman.
Oh,
we have Oliver Queen going to Nana Parbat and dueling Ra's al Ghul, and then he returns from the dead. He never really died. And then Ra's al Ghul's like, damn, I want you to be my predecessor, my heir. And he's like, oh, no. And so they fight, and Oliver Queen kills Ra's al Ghul and saves the city for the third time.
Well, they're kind of doing. They're killing a few birds with one stone. I mean, they're getting rid of Ra's al Ghul. Go ahead and knock that out of the park. Even though, like I said, they did that in the other trilogy, so they're doing it low key, getting it over with. But they're also bringing in the possibility for using the Lazarus pits. We can start introducing that concept if we want to get a little bit more out there with this series.
Actually, in Arrow, the current season, Lazarus pit destroyed.
Really?
Yes, his daughter destroyed it. Yeah, drew some magic crap in there.
That almost seems like a waste.
Yeah.
That seems like a waste.
It's gone. It's going on TV.
Because I mean, once you do that, you come back absolutely insane. You could do some cool stuff with that.
We have 2 characters on that show that they brought back to life using the Lazarus pit.
Were they like balls insane when they came back? Oh, cool.
Very insane. They have bloodlust. Is what they call it.
Oh, bloodlust. Okay. Yeah, that seems interesting. And I mean, if they're already messing around with that stuff, they should definitely bring Damian Wayne into the mix.
Yeah,
We haven't, and if they're not going to do Batman Beyond, why not? They can at least give us that and give us kind of a little bit of the next generation as well. Yeah. Well, I think
it looks like they're trying to play with everything. So you can't keep redoing things, even one is on the big screen and one is on the small screen.
I do like that they're separated.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're gonna do that, keep the topics just completely distinct.
Yeah.
Don't bring Jason Todd on Arrow.
Yeah. Again, it'll be one of those things. Like I guess 10 years from now, when this whole fad has died down, I'll go back and watch some of those shows. But for now, I'm just going to use people like you to tell me the cool stuff that happens.
Yeah.
That'll be it.
Just make sure you listen to your own podcast.
I think it's cool right now though, because we're in that phase with DC that we were about 2 years ago with Marvel, where there's possibilities, and we're all having fun guessing what they're going to be. Whereas now with Marvel, it's like, okay, they're in some middle phase where they're just throwing characters at us like darts at a dartboard.
With that said, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
What's been your favorite Marvel movie so far?
I really like the one that a lot of people seem to hate, which is Iron Man 2. I know you're not too fond of that one, but
No, I'm not.
I really like it. I absolutely despise the third one.
Yeah, I didn't like the third one either.
Which has really put me in a weird position. Okay, this is a good opportunity to kind of segue more into my sci-fi horror section, because we're talking about Shane Black. Shane Black, I don't know how to feel about. He's the director of the third Iron Man, who starts off with a good first half of a movie and then completely obliterates his own concepts and just ruins that movie for me. Like, I understand, like, even if he's not the real Mandarin, stick with it. Don't just cop out and then say he's an actor 3/4 of the way through and then pass it off to some other generic corporate bad guy. We've already had 2 of those in the series. And
You know you got to keep it PC these days.
I don't care at all.
Having a Oriental villain named the Mandarin, cultural appropriation. Come on now.
You can do it. If you can have Black Panther, you can make the Mandarin work. You can do it.
Oh no! Did you hear they're making Black Panther white in the new Justice League movie?
In the Justice League movie, really?
Am I sorry? What I'm thinking? Oh, I'm thinking of Wildcat.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Black Panther is like, if you can make him work and you can make some of these other characters work.
They have to do that now too. They have to.
Like there's a way to work. You can make the Mandarin work. Even afterward. I mean, people responded to that so poorly. They're now saying that there is a real Mandarin. So there's a possibility we will have a real Mandarin. But like, you've done all this work. Like, there's things in the first movie that point to the Mandarin, like like people wearing the rings and things like that, and having the tattoos. It points towards there being an actual leader of Mandarin.
It's Red Skull.
So
that's the
same thing. Yeah,
that's in the same universe, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Like, it's the same thing. It's like, then we finally get to it, and you have this interesting concept. I'm not worried about having a perfect execution of the Mandarin. I just want an interesting concept, and what they had going was really good. With Bill Kingsley, he was given an awesome performance, and then basically they take us out of the movie by making fun of their own concept before it ends, and then their corporate bad guy in that movie, who's it, Guy Pearce? Is that who plays him?
I don't know. I really
Can't remember. Anyway, like the bad.
Purged my mind after watching that.
Yeah,
movie.
the bad guy in that movie. He starts off in the movie as a joke, like a complete cartoon caricature of a nerdy guy like a Wozniak or a Bill Gates when they're super young. It's a complete caricature. It's not a real character. He's even got like the fake big makeup zits and everything. It feels like the beginning of the movie Just Friends, with Fat Ryan Reynolds and all that. Like, that's what it felt like. And then at the end, he's just this completely cookie-cutter corporate bad guy, just like we got in the first one. And in the second one, but in the second one, we had Sam Rockwell, who knocked it out of the park. He played that perfectly as a guy who thinks he's the suave corporate bad guy, but really he's kind of a bumbling idiot who's a little bit lucky. And he played it perfect. And then we get generic Guy Pearce. I wasn't into that. I feel like you killed all your cool concepts and almost made fun of your audience for liking it up until that point. So those are all my problems with Iron Man 3 movie. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. And it's directed by Shane Black. Now, Shane Black's next project is the next Predator movie. He is rebooting the new Predator movie. So I actually really liked Predators with Adrian Brody and Lawrence Fishburne from Predators. I thought that movie was awesome. I was interested in where they were going to take it. I liked Royce's character. I thought he was awesome. And then they just decided no more for no reason whatsoever. So now we have a new Predator movie being done by Shane Black. Now your first instinct is to hate that movie is being made by Shane Black, because you hate Iron Man 3. But then you learn Shane Black was one of the soldiers in the original Predator. Have you seen the original Predator?
I have not.
You have not. You haven't seen anything good. I don't know why I have you here. You're not a help at all.
I'm here for Casey.
For any of the three people listening, Shane Black played one of the soldiers. He played the first one to get killed. He played the Joker, who keeps going Billy, telling him jokes, trying to make him laugh. He's the first kill in that movie. So he actually, of all people, has an idea. Should have an idea as to how to make that movie work. Like what was kind of the magic on set that made that one happen. He's more familiar with the script and a lot of production side of things than really anybody else. And then everybody on the corporate side who's producing the concept is saying it's a completely new idea that really changes the way you look at Predator and is fresh and is what you need for the series to make it a success again. But that's exactly what they said about Iron Man 3. So I don't know how to feel about this because it's obviously one of the biggest horror franchises and sci-fi franchises there is.
About J.J. Abrams,
Yeah, no, you're not a fan of him.
I'm not an Abrams fan. I didn't
and
like
Star Wars.
Super 8.
Star Wars did not change your mind at all.
No, I actually like Star Wars. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie. It's number 3, so it's up there. But it's not my
Do
favorite.
any of the prequels come before it?
Yeah, actually.
Which one?
Well, number 1 is Empire Strikes Back. Number 2 is Revenge of the Sith, and number 3 is Force Awakens.
No, that's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever heard this from Casey. So
At least you're. I'm personally not a fan of any of the prequels. I don't think they're bad movies. I think they're bad Star Wars movies. Some of them are just bad movies. But Revenge of the Sith is a good movie, just not a good Star Wars movie.
Well, Phantom Menace was awful, and the Clone Wars were okay.
I put Episode 1 above Clone Wars just by virtue of I feel like nothing really happens in Clone Wars. Nothing super significant. It's basically just saying, hey, here's how this army happened.
Yeah.
But no real character jumps.
I thought what they did do could have had potential, like the final battle at the end when they're in that arena. That could have been so.
I feel like that whole movie, I'm waiting for them to do something with Count Dooku. They have Christopher Lee, one of the best actors ever, as Count Dooku, and by the time you get to Revenge of the Sith, you just don't care about him that much. He was Qui-Gon Jinn's master. He was the guy who taught Qui-Gon Jinn. He should be a really major character.
Well, he cuts off Anakin's hand.
He does that, but as a character, we don't know anything about him. Like, one of the brilliant things they're doing about this new movie, like, we should say, Kylo Ren is not a Sith. He is not technically a Sith. He's just on the dark side right now. He's an interesting character because he's the first time we've seen somebody pulled by the light side and not tempted by the dark side. But I like what they're doing with him because he's not a carbon copy badass bad guy. He's a character. He has emotional issues. Like, if you ever watch the show Intervention or something like that, or you hear about people who are addicts, you hear them say they are still whatever age they started using at. So if you're a teenage runaway, for instance, and you run away at the age of 14, mostly just because of emotional issues or family issues, a lot of times it's really hard for you to grow out of being 15 mentally. So that's how I feel about Kylo Ren. I feel like he's really interesting because it's almost like he ran away from home to go hang out with the cool rock star on the dark side, and he's angsty and he hates his family, but he hasn't really matured past that because he's around people who aren't helping him to mature. So that's why he's still emotional and upset about his parents and everything, and he doesn't know what to do. Because he hasn't been pushed along to grow into that. Mm-hmm. That's what makes him interesting as a character, is because he's flawed. He's emotionally flawed. He's developed enough to us to really kind of understand.
Yeah, and a lot of fans were disappointed with that. They felt like he was.
They wanted that carbon copy, like cookie cutter villain.
They wanted Darth Vader, and they didn't have Darth Vader. The problem is Darth Vader wasn't always Darth Vader, and we have the prequels for that.
And here's a guy who wants to be that.
Anakin is a lot like, or Kylo Ren is a lot like his grandfather before.
And it's a brilliant character because he wants to be Darth Vader, but he doesn't understand how, and that's why I like him. Mm-hmm. Now take Count Dooku. We know nothing about him. He's the guy who taught Qui-Gon Jinn. He defected from the Jedi. Why aren't we looking at him from an emotional standpoint and understanding why he did that? why he chose to do that, what problems he had with it, why was he tempted by the dark side. We don't know anything about him. We just know he sits around a table with guys and tells them, yeah, we should build an army.
Well, you know they're making those anthology movies. You're gonna have Rogue One coming out this year.
I'm so excited for those.
And then they're debating on making a young Han Solo movie. Now I want to see a young Palpatine.
I believe they're making a Boba Fett apology movie.
Yes. But I want to see that Palpatine movie.
Yeah, I will say right now, with all the Darth Plagueis rumors that are going around, I have somebody, one of my friends who was with me at an early premiere for Star Wars, and I told him as soon as we left the theater that I think Snoke might be Darth Plagueis. So
no.
I'm just saying that right now.
No.
If that happens, bam, called it.
Nope.
If not, I was joking. It may be.
No.
Maybe.
Palpatine killed Plagueis.
He only killed him in episode 1. And you got to listen to everything he said. Like, if you remember that from Revenge of the Sith, he's talking about how Darth Plagueis is the only one who mastered death. And then there's two thoughts on Anakin with this whole stupid, like, Jesus birth thing. Like, he's an immaculate conception. One argument is that there was an imbalance in the Force, and the Force created Anakin as a way to balance the Force, because there was too much dark or too much light or whatever, and there's debate as to which one he was created for. Now, some other people, and I tend to think this one is more realistic. I don't necessarily believe it, but it makes more sense to me than that one. Like, in my head, if you're talking about Darth Plagueis, in that speech that Palpatine gives to Anakin, he says he could even create life just using the Force. That's almost verbatim saying...
Well, there was a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith where Palpatine tells Anakin that he used the Force to conceive Anakin.
Yeah, it's like he was created naturally from the dark side of the Force, spontaneously by Darth Plagueis.
No, well, Palpatine, says that he did it, that Palpatine did.
I would imagine he'd be lying.
Well, there was a book that, one of the books that when it used to be canon before Force Awakens came out, that gave Plagueis credit for creating Anakin.
Yeah, and see, that's what makes sense to me.
Because Palpatine even says, that makes me kind of your father.
Yeah, I could completely imagine Palpatine lying and saying, no, I made you. I made you.
Yeah.
But in reality, he killed Plagueis, who was the one who possibly created Anakin from the Force and is supposedly the only one to master death. So it would make sense if he was almost having to, like, kind of hibernate over the course of the last 2 trilogies and maybe influence it somewhat from a distance. But it would make sense that now he's just now getting back the strength to become a key player. So to me, that's interesting.
Maybe.
I think it could be. It might not at all.
Did you hear the theory that Rey might be Luke Skywalker's daughter?
I think they're trying to make everybody think that. I think they want everybody to believe that so desperately because it's so right in your face.
I was just trying to make a joke, but
no, it's not a joke at all.
You're being serious.
Not a joke at all. Everybody is absolutely sure of that. And to me, it's almost like the Finn thing. They made everybody 100% believe that Finn was going to be a Jedi, and he still may be a Force user, but he's not a Jedi.
No, did you see how he used that lightsaber?
Yeah, it was a huge joke on the fans to be like, oh, you thought it was going to be him, but actually it's Rey. So to me, that just leads me to believe that, they're putting the Luke Skywalker daughter thing so in your face that it can't be real. It's got to be something else. Here, I will say one of the Easter eggs I was super excited for when I saw it, and me and my wife jumped out of our seats practically in theaters when we saw this, is they had the 2 actors from The Raid playing space pirates. The scene where Han Solo is... You got one side over here, one side over here. Mad Dog and Rama from The Raid, which is, if you haven't seen it, probably the best action movie in the past 10 years. If you were a fan of the action movie Ong Bak, this is like Ong Bak times 100. This is the best action movie to come out in forever, and its sequel is amazing. The Raid. Go and watch that movie right now. Stop listening, go watch that now, and then come back and thank me. And my wife and I, we jumped up in the air when we saw that they were in there, and we're hoping that they come back in episode 9 or 10, or 8 or 12 or 100, whatever it takes, and come back and be more key players. But I think that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening. Thanks, Stephen, for dropping by. And thank you for not watching any movie prior to coming in here? Any movie at all?
Well, I don't watch any good movies.
I know you've only watched J.J. Abrams movies just so that you know you won't like them.
Yes.
But other than that, you've never seen anything, and I enjoy that you come in here and I can explain things to you without knowing at all what I'm talking about. So thank you for that.
It's great. It's like taking a film class.
Yeah.
Except I don't have to pay.
All right. So thanks for listening. And if this wasn't perfect, give us some feedback. We're going to try to improve, and hopefully, as time goes on, we're going to evolve and get better with your help. And keep listening. And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.